Okay. All right. Thank you for being here. I'm State Representative LaShawn Ford, and we are here on this exciting day to endorse Congressman Danny K. Davis for Congress of the 7th CD. Run, Danny, run. So there are a number of the Springfield contingent that's in the 7th CD that has committed to endorsing Congressman Davis. Not all could be here because of schedules, but we are right now sitting in the senatorial district of Senator Collins, and we have Representative Lilly, Representative Omar Williams, State Representative Kimberly Dubé-Clay, State Representative Yolanda Morris, and myself, and Senator Maddie Hunter, who couldn't be here today as well, have committed to work hard to help Congressman Davis be reelected for Congress. I'll turn it right now to Senator Collins. This is her district. She's a fighter. I think her values aligns with Congressman Davis. She's a strong fighter in health care. She's a strong fighter for people on the west side. I mean, it's just ideal that she continues to work with Congressman Davis. Senator Collins.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. I am State Senator Lakeisha Collins of the 5th Senate District. Thank you, Representative Ford. I'm here standing in solidarity to support our Congressman Davis, for his reelection for the 7th congressional seat. Congressman Davis has been a strong fighter for families, child care, foster youth, which you all know from my story. I was a former youth in care, which is very important to me, but his work, it goes unmatched. A few reasons why I support him is because of the investments that he has made, legislation that he has passed that is very important for communities across the 7th congressional district, but across our country as well. And so he's invested over $4 billion in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. He's also invested over $5 billion in the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, and over $14 billion in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. That is critically important to our communities, and over $4 billion in the U.S. Department of Education and more. We need a leader who knows the ins and outs of Congress and have the relationships to get legislation passed, but most importantly, bring as many resources back to our communities as possible, and Congressman Davis has done that. Many of the programs and services that we receive in funding from the federal government is because of our congressman, his knowledge and his ability to push and present ideas that no one has pushed before and or ever attempted to push before. And he has a track record. His work around reuniting families and kinship for foster parents and guardians are critically important due to a system that affects families here on the west side of Chicago, which has a very high population of families who are foster parents or guardians, and his work around that is important to me as a young person, as I said before, who tried to navigate through a system that I honestly feel wasn't really working for me, but the reforms and the funding that went into that is actually helping our families. We have so much more to do, and at a time where our country is facing some challenging times, our congressman is able to still show up, do the work, and bring back as many resources, and that is why we cannot take this election for granted. Our congressman put his words into action, and everything from education, housing, child care, veterans, families is why he is the right and only choice for the 7th congressional district. Working with our congressman is an honor, and as a mother of 3 young boys, I know that he is the right person to continue to represent us here on the west side of Chicago throughout the 7th congressional district. I am going to now turn it over to my colleague in the House, Representative Kim Dubé-Clay.
Good morning, everyone. I, too, am here to support my Congressman, Danny K. Davis, in the 7th District. Danny is a longtime congressman. He is very experienced. He knows how to get things done. He fights for families. He fights for the underserved. He fights for the working class. But more importantly, he fights for all people. He has voted the majority of time with our President Biden for funding and for initiatives that help our communities, and we need to make sure that this funding and these policies stay in place. And because of that, I fully support Congressman Danny K. Davis, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that he is reelected. Thank you.
Thank you. That's right. Representative Kimberly Duba-Clay. I remember she taught me how to say her name right. So I'm happy to see Representative Camille Lilly join us here to say, "Run, Danny, run." You got the right congressperson when he's got the right attitude. Here I am calling him Danny, and he's not mad. That is something. Congress people sometimes, I don't know, y'all have attitudes and be bougie and stuff, but here is Congressman, average person, but really, really understands his people. So Congressman Davis, I should say, I wholeheartedly endorse you. I went to see a 101-year-old constituent of yours yesterday named Lillian Drummond. And she told me, Congressman Davis beat you here. So, so you're visiting the sick and you're still doing what you are charged to do as the congressman. I've seen you work in several capacities. I've seen the respect that you have in Washington. That seniority means something. I see the respect that you have in the 7 CD when you come home, how accessible you are. It is not easy to have a congressional member be as accessible to their constituents as you are. And so for all those reasons, along with the fact that you're the godfather of the second chance that has impacted not just the 7 CD, but the entire nation. The entire nation follows and receives funding from your work. The ability to work with Republicans and Democrats make you very valuable, and it's another reason why I stand in full support of you. Representative Lilly, I know, and Kimberly Duba-Clay, I think you all were there when we passed the AIDS bill for the lottery. And I know that our two representatives, Yolanda Morris and Senator Collins, were fighting for it, the scratch-off lottery, where the Democrats were struggling to pass the scratch-off lottery to bring funding for HIV and AIDS awareness. And we had to reach to our congressman to call a Republican leader to help us pass a bill in Springfield. That's what I call a leader. That's what I call someone that we need in leadership in Washington, D.C. So for that, I stand in full support of Congressman Davis to continue serving the 7th Congressional District that goes from the Soul Coast to the Gold Coast. And I will now turn it over to leader Camille Lilly that also aligns with Congressman Davis. Congressman Davis loves health care, and he started so many health care initiatives and also FQACs. And Camille, Representative Lilly, often say, if you don't have your health, you don't have much at all. And so that too explains why you're here supporting Congressman Davis in one aspect. Representative Leader Lilly.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Ford, for bringing us together on today. And the business at hand is to state overwhelmingly, I am in support of Congressman Danny K. Davis. It is so important that each of you know that Congressman Davis is not only my mentor, he's many youth and young people and legislators in this work mentors. He makes sure that we understand what our role is and what we can bring to our state and our communities. And with that, his tenure, not only at different levels of government within our great state, but at the level of government in our United States, he is on the Ways and Means Committee, which is one of the most prominent means in Congress. It ensures that every bill that impacts revenue goes forth to address the needs of the citizens of our great country. And Danny is a 10-year member of that committee. And with that, he's able to ensure that funds and resources are dedicated to every citizen in the 7th Congressional District, but it also impacts our great America. So we need someone of his commitment, his knowledge, his ability to remain in Congress, to do what is needed for the people of not only 7th Congressional District, but also here in Illinois. It is so important that we all know we are having challenging times in our great country. And we need people who have demonstrated that they are committed and that they know and have the relationships necessary to get things done and changed. And no one other than Congressman Davis that I know in Congress has been doing that for as long. He's a man of confidence. He's a man of commitment. He's a man of courage. And as he goes forth to run, Danny run.
Run, Danny, run.
It is important to know that he is moving constantly to address the issues that are in front of him. And we, as constituents of the district, we are actually benefactors to what he brings to public service. So with that, I, along with those who stand behind me, say, Danny, thank you for committing to this work. And we want to make sure you feel you are supported and you are not alone. We stand here with those who are with us, but I also want to note Leader Kimberly Lyford has indicated over and over again, overwhelmingly, that she is endorsing you, she's in support of you. So as we move forward collectively to get this done on March 19th, we want you all to know that Danny is not alone. He's supported and endorsed by people who work along with him. And without further ado, can you open your hearts and your minds and your ears to listen and to hear from our Congressman, Danny K. Davis of the 7th District.
Yeah, you know, I guess no.
The newest and the youngest.
Good morning, everyone. I am Representative Yolanda Morris of the 9th District, and I stand here today in full support of Danny K. Davis, along with my colleagues, and so I will turn it over to Mr. Davis.
Well, thank all of you, and especially do I want to thank Representative Morris, because she is the newest of the group of outstanding legislators that we have in Springfield. And she has not necessarily been working along with us as long as others, but the fact that she would have the bravery and the skill and the knowledge to recognize our work and make an endorsement in this campaign warms my heart, and I thank you. Thank you very much. I agree with all the things that my colleagues have said. They are a wonderful group. A congressional district has more than 700,000 people in it. So you don't just represent one community. You don't represent just one area. You don't just represent one race, one ethnic group. More than 700,000 people rely upon your judgment, rely upon your skill, rely upon your knowledge and understanding. And so to have all of these representatives and senators to say that they endorse my efforts. 3 senators, 3 state representatives, our president of the Cook County Board, Tony Preckwinker, has already endorsed, along with about 6 or 7 Cook County commissioners. There are other endorsements that will be forthcoming. And I agree, because what we have been able to do right near us, Madison Street used to be Skid Row. When I got started in this business, Madison Street was Skid Row. The South Loop was as dead as a doornail, was not really thriving as a business community. And now both of the Fulton Market area was people selling fruit and vegetables out of the back of trucks. All of those areas now are a part of the most thriving areas in the city of Chicago, the hottest real estate in town. Much of its redevelopment has occurred because of the federal dollars in earmarks that we brought to the area, especially the museum campus, before we stopped doing earmarks in a wholesale way. Now, after stopping, we're beginning to start back, and we're continuing to bring vital resources. But yes, we have one of the best health care delivery systems in the United States of America, bar none. Right down the street is the Medical Center Complex, a new Cook County Hospital, Rush, University of Illinois, the West Side Veterans, Jesse Brown Veterans, more federally qualified health centers than you find practically anywhere in America. Quite frankly, the health and social service community has received in the 7th district more than $60 billion in the last 10 years or so. Billion, not millions, not hundreds, not thousands, but billions. We've been fortunate to pass serious legislation, not just talk, not what I will, woulda, shoulda, coulda do. The child tax credits that we passed for 2021, unheralded, reduced child poverty in the United States of America by 50%. By 50%. Unfortunately, it didn't last but 1 year, because when the Republicans gained control of the House, they cut it off. One of my goals, and 2 of my goals, 2 things that I'd like to see done, and that I have a vision that it can happen, is 1, we want to make sure that every child in the United States of America has an opportunity to experience early childhood education. If a child can get a head start, a good beginning, then it opens up the world to them, and they have the potential of becoming whatever it is in life that they would endeavor to make life be. The other thing is we want to further reduce poverty. Poverty has communities stranglehold. What reduces poverty? If we could make permanent make permanent a real child tax credit so that as children are growing up, their families have the necessary resources to sustain and keep them. And of course, we couldn't leave without mentioning the fact that there are millions of citizens all over America who need reentry services. So yes, we are pleased and proud of the fact that we helped reform the concept of criminal justice by passing the Second Chance Act, getting it signed into law, having Republican support as well as Democratic support, and having a Republican president to sign it. That bill has created more than $1 billion for not-for-profits, for governmental entities, for the Cook County Sheriff, for the Illinois Department of Corrections, to work with these individuals and help them. So State Senator Lakeisha Collins, State Senator Kimberly Lightford, State Senator Maddie Hunter, State Representative LaShawn Ford, thank you for putting this together, bringing us together. State Representative, my State Representative, Camille Lilly, who is a serious leader in the Illinois House of Representatives, and State Senator Morrison. Thank you all. I appreciate your support. And I'll tell you one thing, I will never let you down. Thank you so much. And yes, I missed State Representative Kim Duberson. Worked with her when she was on the Water Reclamation District. Delighted, and thank you. Thank you all so very much, and thank those of you, members of the press, for coming. Thank you.
Couple of questions for you, Congressman. We know from polls that American voters are concerned in the presidential race about age being a factor. What do you say to constituents who might look at your age, 82, correct, and say, you know, maybe it's time for younger leadership?
Oh, I think it is time for leadership. You know, I remember reading in the Bible when they were looking for leadership and they asked the question, find me a man to match the mountain. And I'm certain that there are a number of outstanding legislators, people involved who are ready to not only lead as a member of Congress, but even go to the Senate, maybe even become governor of the state of Illinois, but not those who are running.
I mean, let me, if I can just get back to the question. Do you have concerns that people might look at your age and be concerned about that and vote for someone else?
I think that people ought to look at what I produce. I did 7 events yesterday from 9 o'clock a.m. until 9 o'clock p.m. and ended up at the end of the day saying that I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy, but I don't believe that the faith I have in people who understand the value of being number 24 in seniority in the House of Representatives, of being number 7 among Democrats on the powerful Ways and Means Committee. Any way you cut it, the most powerful committee in the House. 8 people who served on that committee became president of the United States of America. Being one of the top 10 African Americans in seniority in Congress, period. So I'm hoping that people will look at the 9 bills that I've gotten passed. And I'm not talking about 9 resolutions. I'm not talking about naming 9 post offices. I named way more than 9 of those. I'm not talking about congratulating somebody on their birthday. No, I'm talking about bills like the Garrett Lee Smith Memorial Act that provides money for mental health in colleges and universities because young people were having behavior problems. And myself and a Republican created that and got it passed. I'm not talking about other bills. I'm talking about the Mentor Protege program, where we established an opportunity for big businesses to serve as mentors to small group businesses. And one guy, all print, out in Bellwood, Illinois, got a contract with one printing company and got more business than the guy had had in his whole life. I'm talking about productivity. I'm talking about all of these hospitals, 23 of them, who get federal money. I'm talking about the 4 medical schools. But I'm really talking about bringing people together. No one single individual is able to do all of these things, but there must be a reason if the president of the county board, who is an astute politician who understands things. So if Tony Preckwinkle say, I'm endorsing you, that ought to convey something to some other people. If all of these state representatives and state senators, and so yeah, there are some people who have an age bias. There are some people who do not understand. You know, the alternative to age is to die. I mean, that's, and everybody knows, though, any political analyst in the United States of America that is worth his or her salt or worth the paper that they write things on or the voice that they use to speak will tell you that seniority is a big factor in legislative bodies. I've never met one yet who didn't believe that. You don't get to be chairman of a committee or subcommittee the day you walk into a legislative body. And especially among Democrats in the House in relationship to our rules, you go in and then you work your way up the ladder. But if you're not there, you can't work your way up the ladder. So it's a very important, it's a issue. It is a concern. It is something that many people feel, but they also generally are looking for productive individuals. It will take another person 20 years, maybe, to reach the status that I have in the House of Representatives.
Can you address, speaking of House and rules, there's a report out there that there's an ethics complaint filed against you for using congressional money back in November to run TV ads for your campaign, which would be a violation of House ethics. Did you use congressional money for campaign-related TV ads? Or
It's a lie. L-I-E. and one can project anything that they want to project, but they say things without checking the record. Every dime that we spent was approved by the Ethics Committee, was approved, met the Franken requirements. You can't send out mail or do those kind of communication activities unless they are approved by the Ethics Committee. There is no ethics investigation. That is an absolute lie. L-I-E. L-I-E. And somebody's effort to put me in the same category with some other candidates, and that's not where I am.
Congressman, I want to ask a question concerning the crime rate in the city of Chicago, and what are your thoughts?
The what?
Crime rate.
My thoughts about crime? Well, crime is crime. And the best way to reduce crime is to reduce poverty, reduce disadvantagement, reduce individuals who are feeling helpless and hopeless, provide the best education that you can provide the best environment that you can provide. That's how you reduce crime, is do all of those positive things that individuals need, and that's how you reduce crime. I mean, there are people who talk about bringing in the National Guard and all of that kind of stuff. That's not how you reduce crime. That may be how you control some people's behavior. But the best way to reduce crime is to create wholesome environments, great education, great positions of hope for individuals as they're growing and developing and becoming who they will become. So that's what I think about crime in Chicago, but it's what I think about crime, period.
Congressman, one more question if I could. Last time around, you had a close race with Tina Collins. This time you have several other additional challenges. How are you feeling about how this race is shaping up with the primary a little more than a month away?
Well, I am feeling good about it. All of the indicators we are receiving from people, we've got individuals out knocking on doors, talking to people. We are holding town hall discussions and ask the congressman discussions. We're doing all of those things. We've had some polling done. And so all of the things that we see indicated suggest to me and suggest to our campaign team that we are on a roll, that we are moving towards victory, and that at the end of the day, I will be re-elected congressman for the 7th District so that we can continue to do the work that we have been doing and build upon what we have been able to create and develop. So we feel good about it. We feel very good. There are 4 other candidates running, as I understand it. One, obviously, is ethically challenged. I didn't ethically challenge them. The other one, we don't know where she lives. We really don't know. I haven't seen her in 2 years, since the last election. I don't think the people in this community have seen her. If they have, they haven't said anything to me about it, or they haven't told me they did. And then there are two gentlemen running. One's a public school teacher, I think, and the other one is a person who's been engaged a bit. But I think in our polling data, maybe 2-3% of the people know that they exist. 1%. And one is 1%. So I don't necessarily view them as being a political threat. But certainly they have a right to run. And sometimes people run for other reasons. Sometimes an individual will run in one race to try to create some name recognition so that when they get ready to run for something else, like block club president or, trustee or whatever, people will know they exist.
You said you feel good. I'll just ask this one other question. Do you have any thoughts about whether this will be your last run for Congress, or?
I really think about today. I don't think as much about tomorrow. And so when I wake up in the morning and get ready to start my day, I say a little prayer. And that prayer is, Lord, help me to do all that I can while I can, for as long as I can. Amen.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.